We have such a treat for you guys today. We not only have Sean Whalen with Lions Not Sheep and the Lion's Den, but we get to have his wife Sax with us today. So welcome to the show, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome, welcome. We're good friends. As you can see, I'm representing
Lions Not Sheep. Let's do it.
I have his apparel, and I wore it after I met with you, and I went to the gas station, and I go walking in, and this dude's like, hey, what's up, man? And I forgot that I had the shirt on. I was like, oh, he might think I'm cool or something. This is pretty neat. This is rare. Like everywhere I went with that shirt, it was one of these. It was like, I see you.
Those are my people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, let's hear how you two got together. Let's hear that story and then where you're going with that.
My story or the real story?
The real story.
Let's hear the real
story
stuff.
from both sides.
Yep.
I slid up in the DMs. I like to tell everybody that she slid up in the DMs, but we met on Instagram. It was really platonic for like 2 years because she was in real estate. I was doing
2
real
years?
estate. And I'd invited her to a couple real estate masterminds that we were doing, and
Never attended.
she never came.
Yeah.
She was too cool. After a while, like we were both single, and I was kind of like, "Hey, you're hot. We should hang out." And she still never showed up. Still never said yes. I think I asked you like
You asked me out 4 times.
four times. Yeah, she thought she was really cool back then, you know? We were talking about this the other day, actually. She just radiates energy and positivity. And like all of her pictures were like her in her backyard, jumping around in her bathing suit or playing with her sons or whatever. And I was like, she's either totally full of shit or she's actually really fucking cool. Like it's one of those two, right? And that was something that like really stuck out to me and attracted.
That's why you kept trying.
Yeah.
I think you liked that I make jewelry. And
Plus,
that I
she's
make
super
food.
hot. I'm like, she's hot. Look, she's always doing barbecues. She's always making tons of food. You make jewelry and food, like, let's
So
go
you
out.
had been through a rough divorce before, and you had already been talking about finding your queen, right? So how did you know it was her?
Our dynamic was really interesting because we have kind of our 1.0 and our 2.0 is what we call it. So we started dating, going out, and neither of us was really in it. She was still dating people. I was still dating people. But there was like a radical attraction, like really, really, really powerful between the two of us. I knew it. She knew it. It kind of scared us both. We both created the avatar of the person that we wanted. She had her man. I had my woman. And she fit this avatar. And I fit her avatar. And I think it was one of those things where it was like, nah, I'm just going to say that this isn't real because this is like very vulnerable and it's really scary for me. And so we dated for a while. And me being me, I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm really cool. And I'm not going to show
He's
up
a
for
little
this
flaky.
date. That was me being
Well,
scared.
did you find you're a little more gun shy having been through a tough divorce?
It wasn't the gun shy. It was that Sax was this single mom. She's making 6 figures doing real estate. She didn't need a dude. So she wasn't this the damsel in distress. Yeah. She was like, yo, I'm cool as fuck. I don't need you. And I'm like, well, I'm cool as fuck too. And so there was kind of that, like we butted a little bit there. Like it was our egos.
Well, we had a lot going on. And so, I only had a couple days a week that I could even make available for anybody.
Yeah.
And so we would plan like for a Thursday date and he would just flake out.
Oh.
And so after 3 times, I just said, hey, like this has been great. I wish you well. I literally have the audio recording of when I broke it off.
I remember I'm laying on the couch and I remember listening to this audio recording and I was like, dude, who the fuck does she think she is? Like, she's like, yeah, I'm good. I don't really feel like seeing you anymore kind of thing. I'm like, you're going to break up with me? I'm like, who the fuck, you're going to break up with me? But then at the same time, part of me was like, damn, that's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Like, right. Yo, this chick's badass. Like, okay.
She's calling you out on
She
your
called
stuff.
me out on my shit,
Yeah.
which is really what I
Which is what you need.
which is
Right.
He knew that I respected
Right.
myself enough to choose
Yeah.
me before
Which was hot.
choose some dude.
Someone who can
Right?
hold their boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
Yeah.
she got to a place where she was like, yeah, I'm not going to date a bunch of flaky dudes. Like, I'm
Yeah.
setting my standards and kind of upping my game.
Don't have time for that.
She was really the only girl that I had ever dated that I didn't like block, like where it just didn't fall apart and it's like, all right, block next. You know what I mean? Like we disconnected, but I was always kind of creeping on her Instagram and looking at her. I was like, man, she's so hot. Like she's still hot.
What
You know
attracted
I mean?
you about Sean, ultimately?
What I loved is that he appeared to be a really solid father. Like he really cared about these kids. And then the way he would write, like he would put his heart out there. We have tons of correspondence where he would write about his queen, right? He seems like this big child, but a very deep soul. And so
It was really organic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We weren't trying to force anything. Like I wasn't trying to impress her or whatever. Like our first like proper date, we just took the Harley and sat next to a lake and talked for like 4 hours. It wasn't, hey, let me take you to the hot spot and buy a $1,000 bottle of wine. It was like really just
4-hour
sitting on.
conversation. That's how you really get to know someone.
We were both really, really, really desirous of this new reality. Like we really wanted this next level relationship, but I don't think either of us had stepped into it ourselves.
For sure.
And so her breaking up with me was really good for me because it checked me. It made me look at myself and go, okay, am I dating just to date? I'm the single dude. Like, I got a couple cool businesses. Like, am I trying to be that guy or am I really wanting to build something deep? And it made her look at it and go, okay, like, am I willing to like look at somebody like this? And so about 6 months later, hey, we should hang out. Hey, we should hang out. She's like, go fuck yourself. Multiple times.
like,
And it took a while, but I'll never forget our first, we call this our 2.0, right?
Okay.
And this was like our first date again, and we met. The funny thing was we were both doing fitness competition. She was doing fitness competition, and I was doing something hard when we first started to kind of flirt. And we were always joking about donuts because I love donuts. And she's like, I know where the best apple fritters are. And I'm like, no, I know where they are. So our very first date was at this.
We met up. It was like that.
It was the first time we actually
Yes.
met, like connected. Was at this crappy gas station with terrible coffee and terrible donuts, and that was her call. So 2.0.
You said those were the best?
So the second
nice strategy
2.0 is what we met at the donut shop, which has like the best. And it was really funny because, she just literally sat there like this the whole time and was like, these are the best ever. She's like, yeah, these are really good. Mine were crap. These ones are really good. But that was our 2.0. That was where things really started to change.
Okay, when did you know it was time to seal the deal?
I remember thinking to myself, I had to challenge everything about myself. I had to go like into my own world and my own heart, my own soul, and be like, what do you really want? And there were a couple moments really that we experienced that she showed up in a way that like on my list of like the queen, these were at the top. I want this in a woman. And she showed up a couple times and was there and showed me that. And it was in those moments where I was like, fuck man, this is the real deal. Like I have two choices. I can keep playing small, keep being scared, keep sitting on the sidelines, like not checking my own stuff, or step into this reality. And actually, we had talked about getting married and the whole thing, and I really wasn't into marriage. I wasn't sure that I wanted to get married again. So I'm like, hey, and she just flat out was like, look, I'm not playing house. Like I'm either going to get married or
Tell
we're
us
not
exactly
do
what you
this deal.
said at that moment.
Yeah.
I think it was, we'd been dating. We were exclusive by then. And he was like talking like, oh, you should just move in. And I owned my own house, right? And it was like this big kind of thing happening. And I just said, like, I'm not interested in playing house at all. Like, this is fine, but you're not going to get more access to me. Like, I'm not going to move into your house. Like, I have a beautiful house that's mine. And then I have gardens and things that I love. Like, there's no reason I would want to move across town and move my kids into your home to play house. And he kind of was like, well, that's dumb. You should want to live here.
It made me look into like what am I really doing? And we talked about marriage and all that. And we would look at, it was funny, we would talk about marriage and look at rings and things like this. And a lady who makes jewelry.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, right? So I bought the ring, and then we were laying in bed one night, and she went back to the website to show me the ring, and it was gone, because they're only one of a kind.
Yeah.
They're all custom-made rings. And so I was like, oh, man, that sucks, Well, whatever. And I had it.
It was you.
Right?
You took it.
And so
Slide on.
one of the scariest things that I've ever done was asking her to marry me. We went up to Sundance 3 times. And I chickened out 3 times.
Wow.
Took the kids and
You
everything
chickened out
up
3
up
times,
the ski
Sean?
lift
And
to the top.
the kids
Swear to
knew
God.
the whole time too. They were like, "Oh my god!"
I had her boys
So 3
drive up
times.
there, and I told them, and we drove up 3 times, and you take the lift to the top, and the first 2 times like it closes, like the lift, so they like kind of announce, hey. I'm like sweating like a madman. My heart's going crazy, and we did this 3 times.
Panic
and it was
attack.
funny. So the third time, it was really interesting. The third time, this was a really cool moment for both of us. Was we were going down. I chickened out 3 times in a row.
And you were headed out.
Which was odd because like I'm bringing them to Sundance, going to the top of the lift, which is like, and it was funny because the third time I had the ring in my pocket and I was so terrified. And we got on the lift and I'm like so mad at myself. I'm like, damn it, dude. And it was funny because we were coming down and she started getting emotional. And she's like, I want to be chosen. And I remember her saying that to
we
me.
were having
like,
some heavy conversation.
yeah, we were in it about marriage and connection, and she got really emotional. She's like, I want to be chosen. Like, I just want to be chosen. I want somebody to choose me. And I'm over here like, I choose you. Like, I'm in. I'm just too scared right now. I don't know how to do this. Fuck. Like, here you do it. Like, I was terrified, right? And I mean, I can get up on stage in front of 10,000 people and like, I love that. But I was so scared, so nervous.
We're on this lift, and he's swinging his legs like
Nervous
like
energy.
the nervous,
Yeah.
most anxious little feet. And I'm like, what is going on with you? It was so cute.
So you had no idea.
I had no idea.
He was
no.
like, I told you 3 times. I just couldn't. I just
didn't-
couldn't tell
you
you.
just didn't know.
Exactly.
Can we move in now?
Yeah.
So anyways, I ended up like, I pulled the ring out and I just told her.
On the lift on the way down.
On the lift, chair 52. I said, I choose you, and it was a really cool moment. And so we rode down the whole way. And it was funny because the kids knew, so you could see the kids in the lift, like in front of us, kind of like looking back, and they kept looking
They could
back.
see what was going on.
And then we got to the bottom, and they were
like,
like,
he finally
all
did
excited.
it.
I like steamrolled him. I was like bawling, and I ran right up to his boys, and I was just like, I love you so much.
It was really cool.
Okay, so a couple more questions then.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when you're older, when you get married, you've got some baggage, right? You have your own businesses, your own life. How do you blend that and then kids?
The kids blended really, really well.
Yeah.
Really?
Like they
Just
almost
organically?
stacked
Totally.
Because I think it's because I have the oldest and the youngest, and so
Okay.
my kids are already used to kind of having that distance, right?
Okay.
And then his kids are all they're smashed together, so there wasn't like an awkward. I don't know. They ended up
We
being
were in it.
big
Like
buddies.
her son, who's 21, or our oldest, we just hit it off. I was just like,
Really? Because I hear that's the biggest challenge for couples getting married that have kids is blending the kids.
well, I think one of the problems is that it's mine and hers. And so when you come into it, people struggle because they take these two identities and two ways of being and they try and trump one another, or my way or your way, or instead of it just being our way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That this is our family, these are our kids,
well,
these are our
because you've been doing
rules.
it for several years. It's not like you started out building your family together.
Right.
So you
right.
have habits and systems and mindsets already about how to parent, how to be.
We were actually, it was funny when we were dating, we were really baby hungry. And we were like, let's have a baby, let's have a baby. And then we got married and we're like, fuck.
We are good. And not that we were overwhelmed, but we just realized we were full.
Yeah.
Like we were complete.
At capacity, yeah. So businesses then. So you were both running several different companies, right? How do you blend and find time for each other and for the kids?
Well, we had a real clear conversation about this. He's like, do you want to build this life with me? And so I was all about it. That's kind of my MO. I like to change. So to me, it was like, oh, for sure. Like I had a real estate team. I just literally retired it.
You
And
just
then-
let it all
Yeah.
go and just jumped all in.
Yeah, she's a driver, I'm a driver.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
both
Yeah.
very red alpha personalities,
Yeah.
right? And we just sat down and I said, look, you could make a couple $100,000 doing real estate and I can make a couple million doing this. I was like, or we can make millions together.
Yeah.
We can build something really big together. And it was really interesting because like when we first got married, she was an employee. So I paid her.
Oh, yeah.
And that did not last
Nope.
well.
I was like, oh, wait a minute.
You're my partner, not my boss.
But she flat out said, I don't want to be an employee.
was
I
like,
don't want to work for you.
not
I'm not going to do
interested.
it. And so it just kind of morphed into this next conversation, like, all right, well, what do you want to do? You know, and she started her jewelry, which I supported and helped and pushed. But the biggest thing is like she sees what I'm doing with Lions Not Sheep and has a role in that. And just by being my wife, this is our thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was never scarcity on my end of like, we didn't do prenup,
So
no any of that stuff. It was like,
and you
we're all
didn't
in.
have any problems or resistance letting her into your company.
I
that you
wanted
built
it.
without her.
I wanted it. And here's why. And you've known me for a long
long
time. And
time.
the people that have known me for a long time have said, since I've been with Sax, you know, I'm significantly softer. Like I've opened up a lot more. I'm as happy as I've ever been, right? And so I knew that like us creating a dynamic together would be significantly more powerful than like us just doing our own
Right.
thing.
You mentioned that. So you made a few million by yourself, but you knew you could make millions with
Totally.
her, with the synergy of
Totally.
you two together. So
Totally.
talk about that.
Well, for me, it was just understanding that, you know, I can only serve so far as a single guy. Right. And I'd always known this. We've talked about this over the years, Sean and I. You know, I always knew that when I found that woman, that would be like the next level for me. Because I always knew that I was, you know, single. I couldn't achieve all that I wanted to achieve by myself. And this is something that I believe in. Like, we're supposed to be with people. We're supposed to like form these families and build these things. But I always knew in the back of my mind, when I found the queen, that's when the game would really start to get fun. That's when life would start to really, really like become bigger. And I mean, what we've done in the last 2 years it would be some people's entire lifetime dream. And I don't say that arrogantly. Like, we're just both so big in wanting all of life. We want everything. We want to build everything and see everything and drink everything and eat everything and experience everything, that it's like these two people kind of pushing the shit out of each other to go bigger, you know what I mean, in every facet. And to me, that was never scarcity. It was like, that's abundance. Like,
That is abundance. Yeah.
Well, and when working for him, I realized that it wasn't the money that motivated me. When I realized that when we got money and it was payroll, I'm like, wait, I don't even care about that. Because the thing I wanted to contribute and the thing that I wanted to be paid in abundance with was that like creative flow.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to be a part of that synergy more than I wanted a paycheck or anything, or to be of a title. And so now it's like I'm just all over all of the companies in a completely informal way. And it's like I'm a sounding board, and we're both very excited, like all the time.
So have you found, everything that you're building something new together, but
Yeah.
the stuff she's been included in is now better.
oh yeah, 100%. I see this as a struggle, like with a lot of men, is trying to bring their woman in, right? Because
Right.
okay, I'm the guy, I'm the provider, and that's how it is. Like we were really clear when we got married, like I'm the boss. Old school dynamic, like this is my family, and she was cool with that. And it wasn't like this dictatorial, like, hey, you're this second class citizen, whatever, but like, we're gonna build big shit, and I need you by my side, like building with me, supporting me, helping me, pushing me. And I do the same with her. And so the expansion of what we've done and the people that we've been able to reach together, and what we've been able to show not only each other, but the marketplace, where you have 51% of marriages that are ending in divorce. You have a lot of really unhappy families. You have a lot of unhappy couples. And I think that there's a lot of rules around what it should look like and be like, and how it's supposed to be. And there's a lot of men that are in that, I'm that guy, and she doesn't need to know how much money we have or don't have or whatever. And she's just kind of staying at home feeling like my job's just to watch these kids, and I don't really know what's going on with the business or life. And there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just looked at it and said, no, like, we're building this together. So the shitty days, she knows about the shitty days. She knows when I'm losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
She knows when I'm making millions of dollars. Like, it's all in, you know what I mean? And we talk about that and we reference that because that's really what we both chose to do, is be all in.
But we do that even with our kids, though.
Yeah.
Like as a family, this is just what we are creating as a family. Like our kids are involved one way or another almost all the time. It's just there is no home and work. It's like it's just our life.
It's a
right?
a whole lifestyle.
A whole
that's,
lifestyle.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talk a lot about, like with All In and with our coaching and stuff, is there is no separation.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be, I lived a lot of my life as the work Sean and then the home Sean. And then there's the husband Sean, and then there's the dad Sean, and there's all these different masks that you feel like you have to wear. And I talk about in my book how I felt like for a lot of my life I was juggling bowling balls. Like I had all of this huge weight and responsibility, and I have to be at home when I'm at work and work when I'm at home and all this other stuff. And it was like with Sax, it's just life. So we're working and we're here, and when we got together, I'm like, I don't do an office, right? She did this post probably 2 years ago, because people are like, you're always on your phone. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, we're literally traveling the world.
Office. Yeah.
So I'm like, I have two choices. I can sit in an office for 8 hours a day and then come home and we can do dinner, or we can go travel the world and build an extraordinary life while I'm literally I'm working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that it takes a really special person to see that and understand that.
It does.
Right?
It does. Your biggest source of pain or joy in life is your significant other.
Absolutely.
But we've been really transparent with each other since day one. And I think that's, a lot of contention in relationships and marriages right now is just a lack of communication, right? Women saying what they really want, men saying what they really want, like how they want to build together and stuff. Because I really believe most people want that. I mean, it's a lonely journey when you're an entrepreneur, making all these moves and all these things, and you don't have your best friend with you.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I
that's
mean?
what you guys are building now together, and because you're doing that successfully, you're now going to launch that into your next programs, right?
Yeah.
Your next passion project. You guys are going to be releasing these couples date nights and programs and things.
Yeah.
I think Sean's getting involved in some of that as well, right?
So I was at the Lions Den event a couple weeks ago. It was phenomenal with Jordan Peterson. And Sean came out of the gates, and it was cool because just to see the dynamic of you constantly referring back to Sax and what you're building. I mean, it's truly all in.
I'm having more fun than I've ever had. I feel better than I've ever felt. when you're all in, I mean, it sounds really simple, right? And it can mean a lot of different things. But for us, we're making the rules. We're building the vision that we see and that we want, right? And this is our life. This is our union. This is our vision and dream, right? We've been told our whole life, like dream and build and all this other stuff. But yet we're living these one-dimensional realities. And so for she and I, we're both like very much like, let's go build big shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is scary, right? Which is intimidating sometimes, but it's like, for me, like my kids are with me, she's with me. There's no like, okay, let me fill you in on my day. And it's like, she knows what's going on. Like we're confidants, you know what I mean? And I think too, for both of us, neither of us have ever had our partner be our best friend. And this is the first time like in our relationship, she's my best friend. And it's not like, I mean, all the ladies are like, oh, and the guys are like, yeah, whatever, right? And everybody says that, but it's like, if you really think about it, like this is the person you spend the most time with. This is who you're with all the time. And you have a lot of dudes that are like, these are all my homies and my best friends and whatever. And I'm like, that's fine and dandy. Or the girls have all their girlfriends, but it's like, I feel like you should want your significant other to be your best friend. You know what I'm saying?
That was the powerful part of your message, I think, to especially the guys in the room. It's like that they want that.
Right.
They want to have that, and they can have it. I went to the Lions Den event, and it was phenomenal. It really was. And I think your message was powerful. My favorite part was actually your message at the beginning of the event. Unscripted, raw, and you stood out there. And I think a lot of people in the room need to hear that message, which is like straight operations in marriage now. It's like, hey, you go get the kids here, you go do this, and all of that like passion you had when you first got together starts just slowly kind of withering away. How do you keep that alive in a marriage?
I think a lot of relationships become transactional, you know, and when you're not all in, when you're not speaking your truth. 99.999% of the problems, I mean, wars start because of a lack of communication. Wars are ended because of communication, right? Like everything that we end up in friction with has to simply do with the miscommunication, right? And if you really think about it, like since we were little kids, have been programmed not to tell the truth. We were supposed to speak what's comfortable, right? So if you're going to say something, don't say anything that might offend somebody or piss somebody off or, you know, rustle any feathers. And so here we are as adults, like not marrying someone and getting into a place where I'm afraid to tell her what I really want. And it's the same thing. She gets to that place where he's just working hard and I don't want to bother him with these things. And secretly inside we're dying. We're literally like, we want connection so desperately. We know it. And if you're smart, if you're a man and you're smart, you realize the better your home life is, the more money you're going to make. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You show me a dude who's struggling at home, I'll show you a dude who's struggling in business and whatever. So fellas, you want to make more money, get your home life right, get your marriage right? Yeah. And it's the same thing with ladies. Like, you want your man to be more vulnerable and more open and more connected, you know, then support his ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't be riding him about, what did you do? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, support him. Like, push him to go make big decisions. Push him to jump off the cliff and to take risks, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, that's your dude. And if you're not doing that, how do you expect the world to do that? Like, she's my biggest cheerleader. I have no fear telling her anything. I want this tonight. I want you to do this. I want this. Here's where we are. Here's what money's going in. Here's what money's going out. Like millions of dollars, all of this other stuff. Like,
and it's not an obligatory, like, he doesn't have to tell me. He wants to tell me. He wants to share everything with me.
Yeah. And to me, that's the most liberating place. And so I feel like you have, for the couples that are listening to this that are struggling with that, saying, look, we're 10 years deep, 20 years deep, and we're just strangers, right? Literally go out to dinner and just rip every Band-Aid off. Make a list, write it down. What's the worst that can happen? You keep being fucking miserable, but what's the possibility if you go the other way, right?
What's on the other side of that?
Because what could happen, right? Yeah. So I feel like for people right now, we're standing in our own way. Like, we are our biggest like roadblocks. Simply because we're not willing to tell the truth. Dudes are scared of telling their wife what they really want. Women are scared to tell their men. Yeah. But I really feel like if you transcend all of your ego and you realize, like, this is my person, right? I married you for a reason. Yeah. Forget about, let's go back to how it was and all this other shit. No, don't go back to anything. Build something new. Like, get raw, get vulnerable. You might say things that do I say things that piss you off?
Often.
All the fucking time. Same thing. She says stuff and does stuff that drives me insane. Right. But the one thing I can bank on, and the one thing she can bank on, is that it's truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when we got married, I told her, I was like, you might not, because she's a very emotional flower and creature and hippie. Even though she'll like rip your face off, she's very, very, very soft and very sensitive, right? But I told her, I was like, the one thing I will give you my word on is that I care more about truth than I do your emotions. So I'm going to tell you stuff, and I will never hide from you. I will never lie to you. But I'll say shit that you might not want to hear. And I think that, and you can speak to
And
that.
that's uncomfortable
what you really
at first.
wanted.
Because most people in most relationships, that doesn't exist.
Right.
So when you start a dynamic, or if you just start that in your current relationship, it's really uncomfortable. Because all of a sudden it's like, ow, ow, ow. And then after a minute, you're like, wait, no, this is amazing because I can bank on it.
Right.
I know that whatever he's telling me is actually truthful. And like, what more could you ask for?
Right.
You know? And it hurts for a minute, but
I think
it's
that's-
worth it. I would
yeah.
take raw truth over my feelings being, cared for and being manipulated, because that's what it is. It's manipulation. It doesn't matter if it's good intentional or it's intentionally good, it's still manipulation if you're not.
The irony behind it too is it's what we both want.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that men want that, as do women.
Yeah.
They really do. Women really want vulnerability and truth and honesty.
Yep.
And men want to be able to be safe with their wife, to tell them everything, to know that she's not going to use it against you or crucify you because you lost money or you went and bought some shit or whatever. So it's like, that's the single common denominator, is just tell each other the truth. Yeah.
That's what's resonating so well. That's why this brand is building so fast. The All In is because it's really making an impact out there. Yeah. And you're seeing tens of thousands of people come in and engage because this is really what they need. Yeah. Years ago, I have a daughter who just got married. Yeah. As a girl, she watched all things Disney. She probably watched Aaron on Disney stuff. Probably knows his song. I mean, she was a Disney fan, and part of the Disney fan was the Jonas Brothers. At the time, I was just starting a business, had absolutely $0 to my name, and Jonas Brothers are going to be performing at the Lavelle Edwards Stadium to 50, 60,000 people or whatever, Stadium of Fire. So, I mean, I sprung to get couple of seats. At the time they were advertising this photo opportunity with the Jonas Brothers, but it was like $3,000 or $4,000. I was like, that's not in the cards. That would be amazing, but it's not. Turns out Sean is a sponsor of the Stadium of Fire with his business, and he's going to be speaking in front of 50, 60,000 people. So 2 days before the event, I get a phone call from Sean. He's like, hey, I'm sponsoring this thing, and I have a couple of backstage passes to do a photo op with the Joe Bros. And I was like, cool. And he's like, do you want them? He's like, I don't really care about the Jonas Brothers. So she went in with my wife, and the bodyguard's like, you cannot film. Do not film them, nothing. And Sean's actually filmed it for us, just incognito somehow, getting this footage. But he caught it on video of my daughter just busting out in tears, just crying, leaving. And then she's like, oh, that was awesome, I remember. And it's like my favorite video of all time. And so it's like one of my great stories because he did that and asked nothing in return.
Which is very Sean.
Yeah, it's very, like, people don't know this. I think some people look at him and like, look at his arms. I mean, he's like got big arms, he's got abs, and he's a tough dude. But at the same time, he really wants to make an impact, and he wants to serve people.
Sean's the exact same way. He'll give anybody anything and set anybody up with anybody, and I think that's why we've been homies for 15, 16 years.
Yep.
It's a long time ago, but you'll never have a lack while you're giving. I think you know that. You embody that, and I think that's why you just keep winning,
Extremely powerful. So engage with their journey right now, because you're going to make you're going to impact millions of people with this message.
We're really excited.
Yeah, the podcast.
Yeah, so obviously us on social media, but we're Sean and Sax, just SeanAndySax.com is the new website that we literally just launched the other day. And so Q4 is going to be really fun. We've got retreats, we've got a monthly mentor group, relationship and couples group. We're going to start doing a really cool tour where we do like a date night with people, and this will be good, fellas. If you're listening to this, I'm helping you. Do you understand this? When I come to town, bring your wife, get tickets. It's like going to a Joe Rogan show. Bring her a couple hours. It'll be a great date night. I'm helping you with this. Like it's kind of an intimidating thing because we take it really serious what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's not.
We take it to heart.
So go to the date night, engage, watch other stuff.
Yeah. So SeanandSax.com. And we'll keep everybody posted, in our podcast, the Sean and Sax Show.
All in.
And we'll keep everybody posted. But thanks for having us, man.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Excellent.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with TaxHive today. You won't be disappointed.